I'm freaking out, man.
You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men with power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert. Italian by birth, American by choice. Songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid.
Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna and you're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Today is Sunday. I always say I try to bring you the best guest, and today for me, in my heart, in my beliefs, and also as the example that this man has set up for me as a new American, is one of my best guests. And I'll tell you why. Last Sunday, you remember we had the Pastor Chuck Baldwin, and we were talking about, the role of a Christian man, what pretty much should do when facing evil. And I pretty much give you my opinion. I'm not a preacher. I'm just a regular guy. I'm a sinner. And this show is not about preaching. But I think we can at least start to get involved. And we should be involved. They also create an example. Because I really believe that when it comes down to activism and also to true values of fearless men or women, they want to pretty much stand in against evil and laughing sometimes at evil. I think the man that I have for you today is the perfect example of what an American should be, not being afraid to speak up with his own convictions, denouncing evil. I'm not saying that I agree in everything that Pastor Manning may say, but let's put it in this way. If I have to go to a church one day, that would be my church. Pastor Manning, are you there?
Thank you so very much for having me. And again, thank you for that very strong introduction, especially those words regarding if you had to go to a church, it would be the outlaw church that you would attend. So I really appreciate that greatly.
Yes, so let me tell you why. Because we spoke, I really believe nothing happens by accident. A few years ago, before Mr. Obama, I don't call him president, Mr. Obama was elected, I found one of your YouTube videos. And by the way, I really invite everyone to find more information about Pastor David Mannings. And I say, you know what, this man, regardless other ideas or other opinions, the fact that this man is putting his life in jeopardy, messing up right now, daring to speak up against the most powerful man in the world, Mr. Obama, as a president or as acting president of the United States, we know very well now has unlimited powers, especially with the National Defense Authorization Act, to kill and kidnap any one of us, American included, without due process. So you said for me exactly the example what an American should be able to speak up the truth, or at least your beliefs, against corruption or evil. And that with me was very inspirational. It was over 6 years ago. And I said, and I've been following your work. And that's why I say Christians, in my opinion, they should be the same type of Christian that were facing the emperor in the arena, singing to the evil and smiling to death. That's why I really wanted you here today with me, and I would like to talk more about you.
Well, you're absolutely right about the Christian aspect. I think the biblical meaning of Christianity and action of Christianity has been lost in America, lost in American churches, and a new form of feel-good kind of social meeting, kumbaya, happens in our churches. And so therefore, you'd be hard-pressed to find a church today that actually lives up to the teachings and principles of Jesus. But the other thing I think is very important here is that Obama is not eligible to be the president of the United States of America. And Luca, everybody knows that. The Supreme Court, every member of the Supreme Court knows that. Every member of Congress knows it, even those who were not members of Congress 6 years ago, who've recently been voted in. And every major business leader and people of major importance in America knows without one scintilla of a doubt in their minds that this man is constitutionally ineligible. However, for the powers that be and reasons that they found worthy, They've allowed this man to present a fraudulent birth certificate. They've allowed him to be in the office of the presidency, knowing that constitutionally he's not eligible. They may argue, people may argue, well, he's intellectually eligible. He's politically astute. And he's so therefore, what is it to hold against him the fact that the Constitution says that you must be natural born? I mean, if he's doing the job, if he's wearing the mantle of the presidency the appropriate way, what's all this hullabaloo? Well, the issue is that it's the law of the land. I don't care how well he may be trained politically or anyone who thinks he's intellectually astute. I don't necessarily agree with that. But the law of the land is the law of the land. And when we start obfuscating the law of the land based on personality or charisma or based on popularity, then we go down a slippery slope where our laws are no longer effective and we become a nation without laws. And so that's why he should not be in that office. And that's why I will not shut up.
Exactly. And this is exactly why I wanted you here today. Because what we're talking about here today, regardless, is not about a show about religion or Christianity. I mean, I have my own beliefs and you do yours and everybody can do whatever they want. This is about, first of all, courage, integrity, and the Constitution. Is it the Constitution still the supreme law of the land? And that's exactly the point, because you were the man there in the East Coast, in New York, in the Bronx, not only speaking, bringing facts and to your, to the people that you reach out every day and every week with your sermons but also with a very particular case that I think was very important, was the trial, the Obama's trial. And you went all the way down. And let's talk a little bit about, remind us exactly what happened, how it happened, what did you do at this trial?
Well, I was visited in my office in our church. And by the way, our church is in Harlem, New York. I was visited at our church back in November of 2009 by members of the CIA who came under the pretense that they wanted to know whether or not I was any harm or potential harm to the so-called President of the United States, Obama. And they questioned me, and then they left. Well, the following day, I got a phone call from someone who identified himself as a member of the CIA, and that he had been in my office the day before. And he told me that if there was anything I wanted to do to expose Obama, was to examine the fact that he had not attended Columbia University. And so I went on a year-long search of searching the records, going through the processes of interviewing people and looking at statements that were made by both Fox News and by ABC News, George Stephanopoulos, and I put on a trial. When I discovered he had not attended Columbia University, as he said he had done, the 10th Amendment of the Constitution allows for we the people to carry out the duties of the government if the government fails. If the federal government fails to carry out its appointed duties, then the state government has the right to carry those duties out. If the state government fails to carry those duties out, then we, the people, can form a trial or whatever is necessary to carry out, and the Constitution gives us that privilege. We held a trial at our church that went on for 6 days.
Wow.
While the trial was going on, police sat outside of our door in their police cars, marked and unmarked cars. There were police on top of rooftops all around our building.
Wow.
Pardon me. I'm only referencing that because we were putting in that trial in our church, we had put the president or the alleged president of the United States on trial for treason and sedition.
Yes.
If we were doing anything that was unconstitutional, if we had been breaking the law by putting him on trial, they would have stormed our church, arrested me, and dragged me off to jail, and I'd be in jail now.
Yes.
We did nothing wrong. We did it according to constitutional law. We did it according to state law, and he was found guilty of not having attended Columbia University, and Columbia University was found guilty of complicity of fraud, issuing a fraudulent instrument and mail fraud, and a host of other charges. There were 17 all total. And that was back in 2010. The New York Times did cover it in a small way. Salon.com covered it. A number of other newspapers covered it. A number of other news reporters sat there throughout the entire trial. The Washington Post covered it. But beyond that, nobody has done anything. We didn't have the power to arrest. Nobody has done a thing. Yet he's a convicted felon as far as the Constitution is concerned with the trial that we held.
And you know, this is something that for me, I remember very well what you were doing. We were talking just before you were going to completely pursue the final stage of the trial. And I was so in sense of, you know, for me that was meant a lot. As a new American, I understood exactly, and I was so proud to call you myself as a brother in Christ, and also as a brother, as an American brother. Say, you know, this is exactly the America I want to be. This is exactly things we can do in America that you cannot do in any other part of the world. We, the people, at the end, we have that power. We delegate that power to the government. And sometimes we forget, or we are brainwashed, or we're just afraid. And for sure, you are not afraid. And that for me was another very important thing. You gave me the motivation to write a song that I will send you anyway. The CD, the new CD is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. And the song, it's called I Am Not Afraid. And I pretty much would like to dedicate it to you because you inspired me in that time when I was looking what you were doing. And I knew about your visit by the Secret Services. Now, you know that people don't just get visited by the Secret Service. Sometimes, lately, they start to die like flies of heart attacks or other very mysterious circumstances. Did you ever feared for your life, Pastor Mannings?
Well, let me try to answer the question this way. I am a preacher of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ, and contrary to what most church people think, preaching the gospel biblically is a very dangerous business. I mean, after all, they crucified Jesus, they beheaded John the Baptizer, they beheaded Paul, they crucified Peter, they put Daniel in the lion's den, they put Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace.
Yes.
And they have pursued those that preach the gospel throughout the centuries. So I think that if anyone is going to preach the gospel, they must also understand that this is a dangerous business. If you're going to, and not only that, but preaching the truth is perhaps even more dangerous, and the gospel is the truth. You preach truth, you have to consider that one can take your life, or someone can take your life, to stop the truth that you speak. However, if you are convinced that your life is meaningless if you cannot express the truth, especially in a nation like America that allows that to take place. You can't do that in any other nation without immediately being thrown in jail or killed. But I think the way I would want to answer your question is this, is that what is my life if I live it as a coward? If I know the truth, if I know a great atrocity has taken place, and I've done nothing about it because I'm afraid of my shadow, then I don't have very much of a life anymore. So I would rather live my life to the fullest, knowing that any time someone could take my life because I preach the truth. And like Andrew Breitbart, for instance, you know what happened to him.
Yes, and I was going to ask you next.
Breitbart.
What do you think about him? What happened to him? What do you think what happened to Andrew Breitbart?
There has long since been, since the beginning of the Secret Service agency in America, a thing called the heart attack gun, where they can actually be a mile away from you and spot you and shoot you, and your body would go into a rhythm, same as a heart attack or a defibrillator which settles your heart attack. The defibrillator it takes your body and try to bring it back to some sort of electromagnetic balance so the heart will be saved from a heart attack. And I think they killed Andrew Breitbart. I think they wanted to make an example out of him, and they killed him. They absolutely killed him, and they put a lot of other people out of business who saw that and said, well, you know, the same thing may happen to me. I mean, if someone's going to shoot you with a bullet or rob you or this, that, and the other, you might be able to try to find a way to get it. But if a person can stand on a rooftop and aim a ray at you, I think they killed Andrew Breitbart.
And why? Why do you think? What type of evidence you think? You know, the day after you're supposed to have a big press conference about some evidence against Obama. You know, we don't know. Maybe we will never know. What do you think he may have? Just your opinion.
I'm sure it was about the birth certificate, but more specifically probably about his involvement with the CIA, and his involvement with being in Afghanistan with the Taliban when they were known as the Mujahideen. That's the one thing that I mean, even some of the media will let you talk a little bit about the birth certificate. They won't give you much room about that. But the one thing they will not, that you've not heard one media source talk about, is Obama's involvement in Afghanistan during the time of the formation of the Taliban from the Mujahideens, when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. They will not let that be broadcast. And that's the thing that I think Breitbart, with a news organ and a big name, was about to reveal. And they killed him. They killed him.
Yeah, I believe that too completely. I also believe there is other more information here. You know, this Osama bin Laden supposedly got killed by Obama. I mean, there is so much that, come on, even a kid may understand this is a fraud, but you very well articulated some facts. First of all, what do you think about Osama bin Laden? And you really believe that Obama was part of killing him and bring him to justice? What do you think about this?
You know, I think that the American people and the American media have been determined by the Obama administration to be some of the biggest fools that ever lived. The fact that there was a raid in this so-called town called Abbottabad there in Pakistan, and Osama bin Laden was living in a farmhouse with 2 women and a child with no protection, no military, nobody around him, and had been living there for a couple of years, and that the Marines went in and just killed him like that is ridiculous. More importantly, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, the day after the event took place, interviewed the people there in Abbottabad and interviewed them about the man that was living in the farmhouse. And they said it was not Osama bin Laden. They went in and killed somebody, but it wasn't Osama bin Laden. And then the other thing, they buried his body at sea, which is what Obama did to his grandmother, Madeline Dunham. He buried her body at sea as well. If anybody thinks that Obama has killed Osama bin Laden, then I don't want to talk to you. Because, you know, I mean, do you really think that actually took place? Ain't no way.
It's an insult to intelligence. It's an insult to intelligence. And that's what sometimes really make me feel like, oh my gosh, you know, is it possible? Really, the American people, they are believing this type of garbage? For example, let's just use the logic, even without any type of evidence. Let's just the logic that the evidence that they gave us, the government gave us. First of all, supposedly, Mr. Osama bin Laden is the most wanted person on the planet, and
right.
Okay, so he has a lot of intelligence, a lot of information. I mean, think about, he's supposed to be the ringleader of the evil people of around the world. Okay, the people that the turban, they want to come and get us. So the first thing that the Navy SEAL breaking into this building does, shoot him in the face. I mean, what the heck? Normally, you want to keep these people alive. You would give your life to just bringing this man alive, to have the opportunity to interrogate him and, you know, get all the information you want and finally find out the truth about 9/11, all these other things. So right there, there is no logic. Number 2, why you want to bring this? Look, for example, what happened with Saddam. They did the execution in public. It was a trial, and you know, and everything was public. Why do we have to keep his body secret from the American people? No photos were allowed, besides some photos that look like a Photoshop. And of course, his body was disposed in the middle of the ocean. I mean, this is another thing that doesn't make any sense. But more important, as you said, there are so many things. Like this man be living by himself 2 years with 2 women in this little farm. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, false flags all over. And this is nothing new. And now, cui bonus? Who is the person who's going to try to benefit out of this? Very simple. This is a political move. The Obama administration tried to bring this as a positive point for the zombies out there. They will really believe that, hey, after all, Obama is a strong man and will defend Americans. So this is something important. I believe that even here, Mr. Braveheart has some information regarding this. But let's not forget about the Navy SEALs. The conspiracy is not over. What happened to Navy SEAL team, the team of Navy SEAL that supposedly broke in, storming into this Osama bin Laden's home, were all by accident killed. Why and how? Pastor Mannings, remind us, please.
Well, allegedly, the Navy SEAL Team 6 did actually go into that farmhouse there at Abbottabad.
Yes.
But shortly thereafter, every last member that was in that raid on that farmhouse was on a Chinook helicopter over Kabul or over Afghanistan, and they were shot down, and every last one of them killed, along with, I think there were a couple of other, I think 4 or 5 other Afghanistan people that are on the helicopter as well. But there's no witnesses, there are no live witnesses to the Abbottabad event now that Navy SEAL 6 they all died. You know, a Chinook helicopter and Marines fighting in battle, they are pretty wise to how to keep their helicopters from being shot down and how to protect themselves. For them to be brought down like that and everybody dies and now there are absolutely no witnesses is an insult. But more specifically, to cover up the fact that Osama bin Laden was not killed by Obama, innocent Marines, soldiers, and servicemen had to die so that they could not tell their stories. This is wretched. This is wretched that this man is that vicious and that this government allows it to go on. And don't you think that people in high and influential places in government does not know that this is all a fraud? You just gave a very logical perception. What would have been better than to capture Osama bin Laden? Because the story that they tell was that he was in a room, he reached for a rifle and they shot him in the head, killed him instantly. What would have been better to bring him to trial, to parade him before the American people, to ask him questions about 9/11, to hold a trial? What would have been more powerful than that if they really had him?
Exactly.
So your logic on number one is absolutely point on.
I really believe, Pastor, we are living, I'm not a pastor. I'm a sinner. I'm a regular guy. And normally during my show, I never talk about my personal beliefs. We stick with facts. And today you're not here because you're a pastor. You are here for me today because you're an American and you are not a slave. We are not slaves. The moment that we speak up and we stand up as a free human being, we show to evil that we will not submit. And that for me, you are the example exactly what a free man should be. That's why you're here today. But at the same time, I also realize that, unfortunately, I'm not trying to judge others, but I realize that most of the people out there, they're still living in this sort of a fear/coma, because I would not understand how the rest of the Americans, they still put up with this garbage, with this tyranny, with this deception, because the moment that every one of us wake up and admit the truth, and we stand up, even just having a rant over the YouTube, or just writing a letter to the editor, or just standing up at your city council and telling it the way it is, all these evil would pack their garbage and leave. Because when we wake up, it's not going to be just few of us, it's going to be millions of us. The people that they've been doing evil to us, they fear the light on them. So that's why my point, all you were saying is so logical, so important, but at the same time, sometimes it really breaks my heart to see how many American people still want to believe to these fairy tales. For example, many people really believe that Americans now, especially black people, they're doing better under Obama. What do you think about? After all, I consider you an American, by the way, even if your color is different. I don't want to call you African American. For me, you are plain American, period. But just for the records, for the listeners, since there is no video, Pastor Manning and me, we have a little variation of color skin. But for me, Pastor Manning is an American brother and in Christ on top. So as an American with a background that you can say better than me, what do you think about American people, the black American people, how they're doing now after 6 years with Obama? Better or worse?
Well, one could look at me at first glance visually and say either I'm a black man or an African American. They might say that out of habit just by visually looking at me, but I don't identify myself as such. I am an American, period. That's just all there is to it. I'm an American. I don't identify with those other adjectivist ideas. That's number one. Number two, with respect to the question, are so-called African-American or black people doing better now than they were before Obama? Well, here are some numbers. The unemployment for black men here in New York City is as high as 53% unemployed. The unemployment numbers across the board, even the ones that the government report, and we know that they're never true, that black people are unemployed at the level of 19% unemployment. when the rest of the world, I think Hispanics are down to 11%, and in general population now they're lying at 5.6%. So at 19% unemployment, when you've got 1 out of every 5 black persons without a job, unemployed, and then when you look at the level of jobs that blacks do have, they're earning less money than they'd earn in times gone by. When you also consider the fact that after 6 years of Obama, who was poised to end the racial problems in America, we have more racial shootings, racial problems, racial disharmony than we did prior to his becoming the illegal president. Before Obama, the problems of race had begun not to completely dissolve and go away. I would never misinterpret what was going on racially in America during the time of Clinton or Bush. Or even Reagan for that matter. But they had begun to kind of coalesce and people had backed away and cooled down a bit. But since Obama, racial tensions have exacerbated. And I can tell you this now, black poor people on a whole are poorer, they are angrier, they have less opportunity to interact with white America. Black Americans hate America now more than they did during Jim Crow, which is critical because if this continued hatred for the white man and hatred for America and hatred for what it stands and it continues to grow. I mean, if you look at our young people today under Obama and see they have no way possible of integrating themselves into a society of what America has to offer. And so we are far worse today than we were under Obama. But the real kicker here is that Obama doesn't care anything about black people. He has made it clear that he cares nothing about black people. He doesn't identify with them, and he has not a clue on how to help to uplift or to speak the truth to black people so that they can become a better people. So I think that the worst thing of all is that Obama has used black people simply as a vote and has given them less attention than he's given to people coming up out of Mexico, for instance.
You're right.
Or even Muslims in general. So I think it's a tragedy what's happening to black people today. They're better off before Obama.
And I completely agree with you. And this is I want to remind listeners, I'm not here to bash Obama because I don't even support the other side. Bush was as criminal in many areas as Obama. Of course, Obama is a new level of treason. But at the same time, I'm not Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm just here stating the facts. And the point is, as a new American who took an oath to defend this Constitution and this Republic, I'm here, and my first duty is to speak up. And this is according to facts. So there is no any type of personal things, you're a Republican, you must not like Obama. No, I expose Republicans as well. I'm here just for the facts. And that's why I'm here with Pastor Mannings to talk about very important things that we should unite as Americans, regardless of our different, variety of color skin, or maybe even sometimes differences of ideas. We do not need to agree on everything. But the first thing we need to understand that Obama is a puppet of global government. It is not here for the interest of the American people. And more important, if we still believe that this is a republic or supposed to be a republic, pretty much where the supreme law of the land, not just a regular law, we're talking about the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, where every politician needs to uphold, swear an oath before taking office. We have a serious problem here. We still don't know after all these years. We still never given enough satisfaction and enough proofs and evidence or real hard copy evidence of his birth certificate, Obama's birth certificate, and really there are many, many more questions never been answered. So that's why we're here. And I would like to also ask you this, Pastor Mannings, you already answered to me about this racism, and I agree with you. Obama is using this black-white situation to put us against each other. And I hope my brothers that have, they think that because we are different just because of our color skin, this is nothing. We need to stop this division. We need to unite as Americans. But I really believe that at the end of the day, we need to understand who is behind Obama. Pastor Mannings, do you believe that there is a global government or a conspiracy called New World Order? What do you think about that?
Well, before I answer that question, I need to tell you that I do have another appointment very shortly, so this will probably be my last answer, and
Please.
I would be willing to, at another time,
No
try
problem.
to
Go
complete
ahead.
this, but I do have another appointment.
I'll let you go.
Having said that,
Mm-hmm.
the Bible says in Revelation, I think it's chapter 21, if I'm not mistaken, verses 1 and 2,
Yes.
that there's going to be a new Jerusalem and there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. And my biblical beliefs and the historical aspect of that particular the prophecy is that God himself is looking to set up a new heaven and a new earth. Having said that, Satan always duplicates what God puts in creation. And by that, I mean he has duplicated that process to put together a new world order. This new world order that Satan wishes to put in order will be absence of constitutional privileges, will be riddled with a new kind of technology of slavery, riddled with a new the technology of how to keep people enslaved simply through economic processes and not allowing them access to powers. This beautiful Constitution that we have now, one of the best documents ever written to govern a people, will be slowly eroded to the point where it'll be the rich, the super rich, and the powerful that will rule the planet. And this is the scheme of the New World Order.
Yes.
And anybody, and I don't mean to be insultive to anyone,
Yes.
but anyone who thinks that there is not a global attempt to harness all the power of the people and put them under one rulership rather than having individual borders based on continents and oceans, etc., and also economic and political structures. Anybody who doesn't believe there's a new world order coming isn't thinking very clearly. You'd better wake up. Because once you embrace that and understand, it will at least help you interpret why the government, I mean, even now, our government right now doesn't respect the people, doesn't respect we the people, it doesn't respect the wishes of the people, and there's no such thing as a Republican or a Democrat once you get elected to office. I mean, they all do pretty much what they want to do. They're all getting filthy rich. They're all bowing down to the same world powers,
Yes.
and the people are still running around and haven't seen it yet. So is there a new world order? Absolutely yes.
Yes.
No doubt about it.
Pastor,
no doubt about it.
how people can reach you? I'll let you go. How people can find out your sermons? I know you have a website. Please plug your website or any way that people can reach you. Go ahead.
I can be reached at atla.org. That's A as in apple, T as in Tom, L as in law, A as in apple again, H as in Harry, atla.org. If you go there, our website will give you all the information about who we are, what we do, or you can just Google my name, James David Manning. James David Manning, Google that, or you can just Google ATLAH, A-T-L-A-H, and you'll be able to come up with everything that we do. Listen, thank you very much for having me.
Pastor
I'm sorry that I have such a brief time, but I do have another very pressing appointment that I have to make.
Thank you, Pastor Manny. My prayers are for you and your family. Thank you.
And mine for you is and your family as well. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Take care. Take care. Bye-bye.
There we go. And that was Pastor Manning. Pastor Manning from ATLA. As I said, normally I don't really go to churches, and I'm not here to preach you. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. This is not the show what it's about, The show is about freedom. And first of all, it's freedom of speech. And that's what I said. I do not agree with everything Pastor Manning may say. But let's put it this way. When it comes down to the political arena, especially exposing Obama and his birth certificate and all the other things that they're supposed to tell us that they're all okay. No, they are not okay. And I tell you, this man is not for Republicans or for Democrats. It's for the truth. And that's what, for me, what is important. Now, another important thing, I want to play a little bit of a speech that now probably people may say, okay, whatever. 6 years ago or so, even before Obama was elected president, Mr. Pastor Manning, he used to, and he still does, very very, let's say, controversial YouTubes exposing Obama, also making fun of him. Don't get me wrong, this is not about that I find the enjoyment just making fun of somebody or anybody. This is about freedom and also is about courage. When we have a man like Pastor Manning living, with his wife, in his little church and saying things like this to the most powerful man on the planet, a man that has unlimited almost military powers, at least for sure against us regular people, think about it. And especially now that we have pieces of legislation like the National Defense Authorization Act, that if you don't believe it, 2012, just go check it out. Any one of us, American citizens included, on U.S. soil, we can now, and I've been saying this many, many times, but let me refresh your mind just in case you're the first time listening to the show. Every one of us, American citizens, we can be kidnapped, arrested, and indefinitely detained, that means forever, with no access to a judge, a jury, or a trial, no more due process. And we can be kept in this danger pretty much forever. And definitely, we also can be tortured and killed just because, write it down, suspected, not found guilty, just because suspected to be a terrorist or being part of some terroristic organization. And we know very well now that on Homeland Security, in the last at least 8 years or so, the definition of terrorist, especially domestic terrorist, is something much, much wider. I don't need to remind you, go check it out. So if you believe in Christ, or if you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe that, you don't want to be a slave of a global government, if you believe in the Republic, in freedom, individual rights, property rights, whatever, you are on that list. So that's why it's so important, this show today for me, is to bring you, first of all, a point that we need to remind. We should never let it go, that we still have a man right now acting as a president, Mr. Obama, that never really shows any evidence. And it is not like you're running for a private business, you're running for a public business, the highest, probably one of the highest offices in the world, the president of these United States of America. And we still don't have the birth certificate, the original copy of the birth certificate, and a lot of questions never been answered. And just because the media, they're complacent and they are pretty much, aiding this act of treason, doesn't mean that the reality does not exist. That's why even if with this, my little humble radio show, Love, Guns, and Freedom, I have to say what I have to say, I will at least want to be on the record for posterity that not everybody in this country was, first of all, afraid and was so dumb and stupid to believe the false these lies that pretty much they've been telling us. So no, and I'm so glad that I had with me today Pastor Manning from New York, reminding us exactly his activism. This man is not just been saying and talking about Obama and his birth certificate. He did an investigation. According to the Constitution, he went out there and he also put a trial, a public trial. And this is very important. I really believe that. And that's all I ask him, guys, even if you may not agree or not with Pastor Manning or some of my beliefs. One thing we must at least really understand, First Amendment is something that belongs to any one of us. And you know very well, things that he may say, Pastor Manning or myself, we may say in many parts of the world, we may be persecuted. I mean, right now, on paper, according to the National Defense Authorization Act, we can disappear. This is not a funny game. This is not like a hobby. This is a serious business. Every one of us, we can be pretty much being taken out. And but in some countries, like Italy, for example, just speaking up, just talking about issues that you may not agree. I'm not saying that what Pastor Manning says about homosexuality is right. I have my own beliefs about it. Even I'm not an homosexual, I have a different way to see things. Maybe I'm not a perfect Christian, but that's not the point. The point that Pastor Manning, he has the right to speak up his mind, protected by the First Amendment. And especially with topics that we may be disagreeing. Now, if you try to do this type of things, say this type of things, like, for example, you do a sermon talking about homosexuality that you do not agree, In Europe, you go to jail for hate crime. Seriously, guys, this is not like somewhere on Mars. This is already in Europe. It's been going on for many, many years. And this is exactly what they want to happen now here also in America. They want to destroy completely our God-given rights. And if you're an atheist, you say, no, look, I do not believe in God. That's fine. That's your right. But you still have rights, inalienable rights. The moment that you were born, you have rights no matter what. The Constitution doesn't give us any rights. The Bill of Rights doesn't give us any rights. The Bill of Rights, what it does, enumerate some of the rights that we already had before even the creation of the Bill of Rights or the Constitution. And the Constitution, by the way, what it does, supposed to do at least, to restrain the unchecked power of the government. That's what it's for. So let me play now something that I really enjoy, gave me a lot of joy. Pastor Manning, one of the first speeches of Pastor Manning, talking about Mr. Obama, also called long-legged Mac Daddy. Sit down. If you have a beer, open a beer or whatever you want to drink and enjoy it. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
Either there's going to be a revolution, Patrick Henry style here in America, where red-blooded, God-fearing, Jesus-loving Americans are going to stand up and say, we're not going to take it no more. We're just not going to take it. And there's going to be riots in the streets, worse than the riots in South Central Los Angeles after they acquitted the cops that beat up Rodney King. You think that and that was black people rioting. You haven't seen anything. And I'm not advocating killing and murder and stealing and robbing. That's not what I'm advocating. I'm just telling you what people are going to do. People are sick of this. People are tired of the long-legged Mac Daddy, you know, kicking them in the face every time he gets up, lying to them. Then you got a bunch of, I don't know, suck-ups like the MSNBC News, ABC News, and all these media types, and everybody who's looking to be popular and get invited to the White House, sucking up to him all the time. It's sickening. I mean, it's downright sickening to watch this. You know, you can get these white folk all riled up here. I'm going to tell you something. They're going to come in, the white folk get riled up, you know, members of the NRA going to come into the black neighborhoods. I'm telling you. You know, the people are just tired of this. You know, white people are being pushed around, kicked to the curb, having their rights denied, being called a racist, being walked on, watching their tax dollars go to fund all kind of drug sales, prostitution, illegal immigration. I mean, y'all gonna push these white folk till they can't take it no more. I'm telling you. You fool around here with Obama? You gonna let this long-legged Mac Daddy push these white folk? They gonna come up out of Tennessee and come up out of Oklahoma, come up out of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, come up out of Oregon, and come out of Idaho and California. I'm telling y'all, you're pushing these white folk and you're pushing them. Your long-legged Mac Daddy's pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. And they're going to get, listen, you're going to push people to the point where they're not going to take it no more. These white folk are not going to take it. You're taking their tax money. You're closing down their jobs. You're shutting down their banks. You're telling them what they can and cannot do. You're giving billions of dollars to Acorn. You're taking their tax money and giving it to people to buy drugs. You're killing babies and you won't stop. You're telling lies. And you're demoralizing our nation. You're destroying everything that has made this nation great. White folk getting ready to rise up. They don't want to take it no more, and I'm joining them. Oh, doggone it. I am. I mean, it's just an insult. It's one thing to have a president that you're okay, all right, he's Republican, you're a Democrat, he's Republican, you disagree on policy. But this man is destroying what God loves. He's destroying the fabric and the fiber of the nation. And he is a prolific, if you will, liar and killer and murderer. Spiritually, politically. I'm telling you, you're going to see an uprising in this nation. And it won't be long now. I mean, you just can't keep pushing folk the way Obama's pushing white folk and the way black folk are pushing white folk. You can't keep doing that. I'm telling y'all, you better.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid.
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna
I'm not afraid.
and his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
And that was Pastor Manning. And I really mean it, you know. I'm not saying that, as I said, we agree on everything, but I tell you, first of all, the guy is something else. I dare, how many of you would go on YouTube or would go on radio, on network TV, and start to say the things he says about Mr. Obama or any other powerful politician? I have people that I know that they don't even want to pretty much say these things in front of, you know, friends. Anyway, so that's what I'm saying. And this is pretty much the purpose of the show. First of all, it's freedom of speech. And also it's about bringing things that normally you will never hear on mainstream news. And when I say things, I think information, facts. You know, remember, if one day history will be able to pretty much prove all the things that we are saying, and remember, unfortunately, history is written by the victorious, by the winner. So we will know. Hopefully we will win. I know at the end we will win. But one day when we will find out all these deceptions, all these lies, and that Obama is not an American citizen that has the constitutional status to be a president, think about the biggest fraud of history ever perpetrated on the American people. We will find out. And all these unjust laws, the Obamacare, all these executive orders, the amnesty for illegals, and these trillions of dollars that they've been stealing from us, they were just a fraud. They were null and void. Think about it. That's why I want to bring this up. Now, I want to remind you that this show, it is an act of love, first of all. I'm not here because I have any type of, I don't want to become a radio guy or a radio personality or the next, Glenn Beck or whatever. I really don't care. I'm happy already what I have. I'm happy the things I do. For me, this show was an opportunity. It is an opportunity to try to share information together, learn from each other, and more important, trying to have the facts that we need to know to try to be proactive and take our republic and our rights back. It's like almost, let's say, some sort of magic spell I'm trying to do to everyone I know. I don't want to be right. I wish everything I'm saying I'm wrong, I was wrong. But meanwhile, all the facts that I have, I ask you please to disprove them. I ask you to investigate. I ask you to be active, involved, even if you do not agree. At least let's try to find out the things that we can agree. We are all in danger, as I said. Now, this show is supported by you, listeners like you. I want to really push that out because this is not like NPR, National Propaganda Radio, okay? Where pretty much every year billions of dollars or millions of dollars, I don't know exactly how many millions, but a lot of millions of your tax dollar get extorted without your consent, and you're supporting, you want it or not, this National Propaganda Radio, NPR. No, this is a private business, and I'm here because of your support. It's called free market. And if you want to support the show, don't rely on the sponsors, because my goal is to keep this information as free as possible. And the only way I can do it, because if every one of us can help me out, and it's very simple. All you have to do is go to www.zanna.us or even go to just lovegunsfreedom.com. You will see there is my music section, okay? And especially if you go to zanna.us, there is my music section, and you can download any of my songs for just 99 cents. Also, I have another website. It's called Zanna, Z-A-N-N-A, art.com. And you can find out now also, I'm not just sharing with you my music and my songs, but also my visual art, my paintings. And you can also get some of my prints. Anything you can, even just 99 cents, it would make a difference. That's all I'm asking. And, differently from the government that they just point a gun at you and they steal your tax dollar, I'm asking, simple as that. And it's up to you. Now, another important thing I want to say, we must stay healthy. Obamacare pretty much destroyed our healthcare system. Many of us, me included, people that we used to have beautiful healthcare plan. I used to be very happy with my healthcare plan. Unfortunately now, starting from January, maybe we cannot afford any more healthcare. My plan went up from $160 to almost $480 a month. And I'm pretty lucky. I know people pretty much with family and kids, they cannot afford it. And guess what? I'm not affording it myself. I'm out. So we must be conscious to stay healthy. And 1 year ago, almost, let's say 8 months ago, I found out this product. It is incredible. This is not like a medication. You do not need any type of medical prescription, but it is very important. It's a supplement. It's an anti-aging supplement. It's exactly as an activator, scientifically proven. And all I'm asking is to go to check it out. You can find the banner on lovegunsfreedom.com. You will see the banner is called protandemdistributor.us. I've been taking this product for almost 8 months right now. And all I'm saying, check my website, protandemdistributor.us, and see the feedback page, testimonials page. It's amazing. And I'm telling you for myself, I'm 47, and there are a lot of problems out here, chemtrails, weather modification all day, heavy metals in your body, and also 47, you're no more like a kid, okay? Many of you, they feel pretty old. I feel great, regardless, of course, when they heavy spray all day for 2 weeks in a row, but still, I feel much better than I ever felt. This is very important, because they want us sick, they want us broke, they want us dependent. That's what the global elite want us. So we are dependent on them, like cattle. So all I'm saying, give it a try. At least go to the website, protandemdistributor.us, and check it out. And what you gotta lose? For the price of a single coffee a day, give it a shot. For just 30 days, you can give it a very great opportunity to slow down your anti-aging, your oxidative stress, that would be the free radicals, by at least 45%. And this is scientifically proven. Now, I already played this song probably a couple of weeks ago, but in honor of Pastor Manning, before we go into hour number 2, I want to play this song again. It's called I Am Not Afraid. And I dedicate this song to Pastor Manning and to every man or woman who is not afraid to stand up against evil and speak up their mind. Because after all they can take is our body, but they will never take our soul. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and today it is an incredible Sunday, and exactly is Sunday the 15th of 2015. Don't go away, because second hour we will have incredible information and maybe even a surprise guest that you're going to really like. Loaded show. Ready to go. Lock and load. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, thou art with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. I am not afraid because you are with me. Na 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 na. 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 I'm not afraid. Na 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 na. I'm not afraid. Na 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 na. I'm not afraid. Na 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 na. I'm not afraid. Na 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 na. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to face the truth. I can see evil in the eyes. Are you ready to stand for good? There's more than just this life. We are living in crazy times. If you believe it's a crime, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I can smell pain in the air. People are lost in despair. Dark clouds are on the way. I pray for courage every day. I will fight till my last breath. You give me strength to smile at death. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Because you're with me. I'm not afraid. Because I believe in you. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network.